What up? It's Fred Rea, the guy who started Rain City Capital back in 2009 when private lending wasn't exactly the cool kid on the block. Welcome to Good Nuggets, a podcast that's as much about the failures and holy shit moments as it is about the wins. Here's the deal. I've watched people go from nearly walking out of the door to becoming absolute powerhouses in this business. We'll get into the weeds with loan officers, talk strategy with fellow lenders, and swap war stories with entrepreneurs who have been there. No fluff, no corporate BS. Just authentic conversations and practical takeaways you can actually use. So grab whatever you're drinking, get comfortable, and let's get after some good nuggets. Hey everyone, Fred Rea, Good Nuggets. Today we're going to do a year in review. Looking back on 2025, and I guess my thoughts on the year, and let's see where it takes us. First question, if I could describe this year in one word, what would it be and why? The one word that I would choose would be like shit. Why? That word can go both ways. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You can be like, no shit, like Julian says all the time, or you can be like shit. And I think we had a lot of both. This year was filled with ups and downs. Obviously, the real estate market's a tough market, and as a portfolio lender, we keep and hold our loans for the most part. And when you keep and hold your loans that are a year and a half old, and now they're popping up on the market, and values have gone down or stayed flat, or renovations went over budget or whatever, some of these people aren't going to do so hot, which means we don't do so hot. Real and lasting mutual success. We say it over and over and over again, but oh my gosh, that is so true. Our success is yours and yours is ours. And the more people that are successful in their flips, the better off we do. And the more people that are unsuccessful in their flips means that we aren't as successful. So yeah, I'd say our one word is shit, in good ways and in bad. I think, the rest of the market and a lot of our competitors had a down year and we had an up year, which I think, really lends to the team and how well we executed. And, even in the face of adversity, I think we've done a pretty good job of getting her done. What accomplishment this year, personal or professional, makes me the proudest? Honestly, I'm going to say culture. It's one thing that's always on my list. It's one thing that I always make sure to do. And, consistency is as good as compound interest. And I think that that's the one thing I have consistently been consistent about. And it shows. We're 100 plus people. Obviously, we're growing. And to have virtually everybody that shows up at work, if you ask them the one question, I dare you, ask any Rain City employee, what's their favorite part about Rain City? It's going to be the people. And I'm going to protect that for as long as I can. So I think in the face of adversity, I think it's kind of like brought us together, but also I think that's the proudest part, because it's a really tough thing to do. And when people show up, they're like, holy shit, it is for real. And you can only know it by being in it. My biggest challenge this year, obviously the DSCR market. I think I mentioned it before, but if it got edited out, yeah, we took a giant loss on DSCR stuff. And it was really, we didn't have to take the loss, but really it was one of those things that just made all the sense in the world to just get rid of the loans, move on, clear up our balance sheet, and live to fight another day. Yeah, that was a tough one for sure. Made me reminiscent of back in the 2008 days. As many of you know, some of you don't. I've been doing this business a long time, 20 plus years now, the hard money business. And 2008 wiped me out. I went back to zero from being a pretty wealthy kid. Shit, it's funny to say, like 26-year-old. I'm fucking old calling 26-year-old me a kid, but I was a kid. But I got the luxury of being humbled really early. And even though like the magnitude was not in any way, shape, or form the same, I still got a little taste of it. I got a feel of it. And I've done such a good job of shying away from any of that over the last, decade plus. It was weird to be sitting in that seat again. I was like, holy shit. And I think it's good to get a little shock to the system every once in a while, even though you're consistent and, shit can happen. And I think I dealt with it far better than I did in 2008. That's for sure. 2008 was a fucking mess. 2025, much less of a mess. What's something that surprised me about the company, the market, or myself? It constantly surprises me how we can find people that show up and really love the environment at Rain City. I thought it was just me being a dumb shit. And I mean, I kind of am. It's surprising that there's a lot of people that actually enjoy it just as much as I do, because I'm literally just a 13-year-old that stopped aging, and I got to draw the line in the sand and be like, hey, this is it. This is what we're gonna be. And slowly but surely, we've been able to like collect people like a snowball over time, and it just constantly gets bigger and bigger, and people tend to stay and have fun and enjoy it. So I think that's definitely, it's always a surprise. It's a good surprise, always a surprise. The DSCR market, even though it absolutely got its butt kicked, the Wall Street want for this product hasn't waned. Even with hundreds of millions of dollars of losses, I mean, who knows what the real number is? I know my loss was a 7-figure loss, so, and I'm such a small portion of the market. So if you're looking at like the whole market, it's got to be hundreds of millions. And I think that is continue to be a surprise. We continue to participate in the market, and it's really interesting to watch the spreads between conventional mortgages and these DSCR loans compress over time. They used to be pretty far apart, but now they're pretty close together. So I think that's going to change how the market kind of expands. And I think that, if I'm honest with you, the lenders that don't have like the institutional backing or the ability to deal with that are going to be kind of tough, because the non-QM market is really loving this product, and the non-QM lenders are looked at as being better at process, but there's different things in process. Again, you're still like you're blending the line of RTL, fix and flipper mentality, and a conventional loan that kind of lives on the other side that has these processes. Like one big thing that we do that's really consistent that non-QM lenders and other lenders don't, like Fannie Freddie, is they don't pull background checks. So we know if they have a IRS tax lien or that isn't on their credit report, or if they've had these crazy bankruptcies and some other stuff in the entity levels, where most of these other lenders, they don't. So I think there's another kind of like crunchiness that'll come. This last one that happened in 2025 was valuation, and I think process and fraud obviously continues to be an issue there too, but I don't think you're ever going to get away from that. Who or what kept me grounded this year? I don't think I had a tough time being grounded this year. We aren't like sky high. I think there's, whenever you're going through a little bit of strife, it's easy to kind of lash out and do some dumb stuff. But I think, I have a pretty good circle. I have a good group of friends. I have an amazing wife. I have a cute little dog. Name's Nugget, which is halfway of where this podcast name came from. Good Nuggets. It didn't actually. It was just a good coincidence. I'll use it. It's good to get your ass kicked every once in a while. It'll keep you grounded, keep you thinking, and not necessarily getting beyond what you should. I think naturally by going through what we went through this year, it was a grounding experience. What's one decision I'm really glad I made this year? Early on this year, so I coached the Rain City loan officers that have an employee, one or many, and I help them. Obviously I'm a business owner, and I consider them little mini business owners inside of Rain City. And one thing I did this year, which I don't have it on today, which blows, but we did an exercise that my coach did for me and I did for them called the one word, which is that we did basically I walked them through goal setting. I walked them through, even before goal setting, what's important to them, why they think it's important to them, kind of like getting to the root of everything. Because I have this wholehearted view and opinion that if you have your life in order, everything at work is going to go well. And so many times and in so many different places, it's, high performance sales team, blah, blah, blah. Go and fucking work your ass off, make 100 phone calls, make 1,000 phone calls, whatever it is. And you're going to do great. You're going to make money. And then the rest of your life is going to be better. I approach it the entire opposite way. It's like, if you have a goal to take international vacation, make sure that shit's on the calendar before you do anything else. There's an analogy, and I swear I'll get there. There's an analogy of like, you put the big rocks in first, then the little rocks, and then you put the sand in, you can fit so much more in. And, big rocks don't have to be like, I made $1 million. Big rocks can be like, hey, I'm going to go and get married. Or, hey, I want to focus on my health, or, whatever that is. So anyway, to go back through all of that with loan officers and break the entire year down to one word. My one word this year was measured. And I really loved that we did that. It's like all the stepping stones to get to the place of how can you boil your year down of how, if you're going to kick 2025's ass, what's the one word you need to remember all the time? Mine was measured. And there's so much that goes into that. But I had it on my wrist up until like 2 days ago. I kind of beat the crap out of it when I was working out, but that was the one thing that I was really glad I did. And I think that we'll do that again. I bought everybody bracelets, and it was issues all over the place, but we still checked in. And I think it was a powerful exercise, and one that I had never done before, and that I really enjoyed, and that we're going to do here shortly again. Maybe one day I'll put it on video and do it for everybody, or I can have my coach do it for you. But either way, it was a cool one. I really liked it. You have to do the work. I guess it's not necessarily about the end goal or the end result. It's about the work you do beforehand. But the work we did beforehand got us to a point of doing that. And I thought it was really cool. So it was one thing that I was really glad I did this year, the one word exercise. What's a lesson I'm taking into 2026? Focus. I think I got distracted in 25 by numerous different things. And I think that there's power in focus. In 2022, interest rates are going crazy. Everyone around me was like, hey, Fred, we need to add different products. We need to differentiate ourselves. And we didn't do any of that. We really just went back and said, okay, we're going to be really great at fix and flip. And that's what we did. And that was one of the best decisions I'd ever made. Instead of adding on, commercial loans or multifamily or anything else, we took all away and we focused. And I got away from that in 25. And so much like everything in Rain City, its core values and mission statement, it's all based off of like what's in my heart and, put on paper. And, we've luckily been able to find enough people, but I think what I'm taking into next year is a high degree of focus on what's important and leaving the stuff that's not important off to the wayside. Taking my own freaking advice for once. Us entrepreneurs, we have a tough time focusing. That's for damn sure. If you had to pick a movie or a theme song to 2025, I have no idea why this first fucking popped into my head. It's probably a little old. This is vintage Keanu Reeves. I'm going to call it Speed. There's fucking some guy. God, what was that? Like Dustin Hoffman or something like that. Yeah, I don't remember the guy's name. The Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock were like, Sandra Bullock, she's the wildcat. Keanu Reeves is the young cop. And I don't remember like the main villain guy. He like got his hand blown off, and they're stuck on this bus that has to go 55 miles an hour and whatever, right? The goal at the end of the year was just get everybody off the bus and let the bomb go off somewhere else where it didn't hurt anybody. And that's so fucking random that just popped into my head. But honestly, like, I'm gonna go Speed. I think Speed 2 was actually like decent movie, but I recently watched Speed with my family like 3 or 4 months ago, and that's fucking hilarious. The whim of a madman. Fucking Speed. God, there's a lot of that's fucking hilarious. If I could give the team one piece of advice heading into next year, what would it be? I would say just keep being awesome. I'm a giant fan of one of our core values is own it. And I'm a giant fan of just being yourself. And I think we always try and strive to have everyone kind of be themselves. And again, that's kind of like part of like letting, if you have your personal life and stuff, good, show up well at work. And if you're trying to be someone else that you're not at work, it's probably not going to go so well. If I could send a memo to myself in January, what would the subject line be? Well, subject line, who needs it? I would say trust your gut. So many times there's influences that are around you that push you in one way or another. And it's really hard. And sometimes just to like, what is your gut saying versus what everybody else is saying. And I've always done a really good job of trusting my gut, and it's gotten me this far. And I didn't do it in January, and I should have. Trust your gut. It's only wrong sometimes. Who inspired me the most this year? I got a few. The first one that comes to mind is Julian, which he was previously on the podcast before. He's currently in his 3rd year of working at Rain City, and he's near the top of the leaderboard, which is, pretty consistent. There's the 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year, but I went to his wedding this summer. Actually, it was this fall, and it was inspiring for me just because, the stuff that I'm doing is impactful to other people's lives. And, I didn't do the work. Julian did the work. But, he did the work to be able to pay for a wedding. And, it was really fun to see, the positivity that is happening in his life, and, wherever his life takes him, whatever ends up happening. It was a cool moment, going over to meet his parents, say hi to his dad, and tell his dad how proud I am of his kid, and him get a little bit of teary eyed and whatnot. That was a pretty inspiring moment, and I love to see like the culmination of work that comes together. I'm always a sucker for the accomplishment movies. If someone goes, they work really hard, and then they accomplish something, I'm like, so that hits me in the feels. I don't know why. What's one thing this year that made me think the team was pretty freaking awesome? So Rain City started with me. And then, obviously I slowly hired people, and we're 100 people now. And, there's a thing in EOS that's like, letting go of the vine. I got to be basically the crap taker for a long time, where like, you need to let go of the vine, you need to do this. And this is when we were like, 25 to 35 employees, and watching other people go through the exact same thing now. Obviously some ways very different, some ways very much the same, and watching how difficult it is for them. And, my job is to, not necessarily help them see it, but help them through it. Not just get yelled at and told what to do, but, now I've kind of been on the other side of it, and, watching them go through it it's fun, and it's helpful, and it helps the company grows and helps them grow as individuals. I think the team is pretty awesome for that, for sure. And obviously, I give space for it 100,000 times, but culture is super important, and I love that everybody's kind of keeping the culture. That's obviously a very important part for me, and I love that everybody else kind of takes it seriously. Yeah, I feel like I should just do like a whole other thing on, Rain City culture, what we've done, how it started, and everything else. But that's like give me a couple hours, and maybe I might be able to condense it down. That would take some homework for sure too. That has been a lot of stuff. Good Nuggets 2025. It's been a great ride. Thanks for tuning in. Next year's going to be even better. Good Nuggets 2025. We out.